Welcome to another episode of VMOD in the Spotlight, a video series in which we feature Varnish modules. My name is Thijs, I'm the Technical Evangelist at Varnish Software, and in this episode we'll be focusing on VMOD Cookieplus. As the name indicates, it's obviously about cookies, and the plus side of things highlights the fact that this is a Varnish Enterprise module. So let's talk about cookies real quick. Cookies are in fact a way to keep track of state in an otherwise stateless protocol that HTTP is. It's issued through a cookie request header and in fact is nothing more than a collection of key value pairs separated by semicolons. The purpose of a cookie is to identify the client or at least some of its capabilities and features. And in fact, it's the browser's cookie jar that automatically injects the cookies that it has for this specific domain every time a request is being sent. The thing to remember here is that as soon as Varnish sees a cookie, it decides not to cache. And this is done by design, because Varnish has a very conservative caching policy that avoids caching personalized data. The best course of action is to delete the cookies we don't need and then decide later along the line what to do with the remaining cookies and whether or not to cache. Identifying the cookies that need to be removed are a lot of work, and as you can see, it requires a lot of VCL to make it happen. So we can do it the other way around, and we can remove every single cookie and only keep the ones we like. And again, we need some VCL for it. There's less VCL, but it's still very complicated. It's safe to admit that managing cookies in regular VCL is not that easy. And that's where VMOD Cookieplus comes into play. It's a module that is dedicated to managing cookies, and it has a very rich API. As you can see in this overview, it has tons of functions related to cookies that are stored at the client side and issuing cookies from the server side. Remember this example where we keep a certain set of cookies? Well, we can turn this from regular VCL into this using Cookieplus. So it's just a matter of importing the module to make the Cookieplus namespace available and then call cookieplus.keep. As soon as we call keep, we enable keep mode, which means we remove every single cookie except the ones that we mention as an argument in keep. So we're keeping the language cookie, the PHP session ID cookie, and the opt-in cookie. And as soon as we're done with the internal substitution, we're writing the values back to the cookie header. And we can even do it using a single regular expression pattern. So by calling cookieplus.keepRegex, we can mention a pattern, and cookie names that match this pattern will be kept. We can actually leverage the values of these cookies to create a personalized caching experience. And as you can see in this example, we use cookieplus.get to extract the value from the language cookie and create a cache variation. So when we zoom out of the technical part and look at it from a conceptual point of view, we can say that VMOD Cookieplus offers cookie features such as adding, deleting, keeping, and getting cookies, but also doing pattern-based stuff such as deleting, specifying which cookies to keep, and to update values based on a regular expression. There's functions available to count the number of available cookies. We can get the full cookie header value as a string. We can write the value back, as we've seen in the earlier examples, and we can even get a JSON object to perform further introspection. But that's just half the functionality. Up until this point, we've only dealt with cookies that have been issued earlier and that are kept in the cookie store and that are presented for every request. But we can also set cookies, and VMOD Plus also has capabilities for that. So let's have a look at how you can set cookies. When a web server responds to a user request, it may contain a set cookie header when a cookie value needs to be set. This means that the web server wants to set state that is specific to that user. And the set cookie header allows us to do so. In this case, we're setting a language cookie that expires at a certain date, that is valid for a specific domain and for a specific path. And it's up to the browser's cookie jar to receive that information, to store it. And of course, it will be presented as a regular cookie request header upon subsequent requests. Imagine that we want to set the following language cookie. Not at the application level, but in Varnish. Varnish will set this cookie. Well, without VMOD Cookieplus, you will have to compose this string in VCL and make sure the date is right and all the parameters are there. So it's a lot of work and it's simply a string. But if we use Cookieplus, we can call cookieplus.setCookieAdd, and you have a whole range of functionality dedicated to setting cookies. So in this case, the name is lang, the value is en for English, the validity is 12 hours, and we're using the original requests host header as the host and the domain on which the cookie is valid, and the path is /. And by doing cookieplus.setCookieWrite, we write this data back, and we've just set a cookie. With this example in mind, we can zoom out again and look at it from a conceptual point of view and describe the set cookie capabilities that Cookieplus has. And I must admit they're very much on par with the regular cookie capabilities of Cookieplus. This means we can add, delete, keep, and get set cookie values, just like we can with regular cookie values. We can also perform pattern-based delete, keep, and update actions. We can also count the number of cookies that were set in a set cookie header. We can write the data back to the set cookie header as you saw in the example earlier. And you can also get the JSON information. Thanks to the Cookieplus VMOD, managing cookies from within VCL is made a lot easier. You no longer need to implement complicated regular expression substitution patterns that are quite confusing, to be honest, and where it's easy to make a mistake. Instead, you get a very clean and concise API that is dedicated to the job. So whether you want to add, delete, or update cookies, or you want to extract information from cookies, there are dedicated functions to do so. And for every client-side cookie function, there's the equivalent for set cookies. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. That was another VMOD in the Spotlight. I'll be back next month with yet another VMOD in the Spotlight, so stay tuned.